A Spanish conquistador by the name of Francisco Pizarro had his eyes set on the Incan Empire, for its rumored vast amounts of gold and silver, and in 1524 Spain allowed him on this conquest. The Incan Empire stretched over vast amounts of land, which mainly included Peru. Pizarro was unaware of the magnitude of the Incan Empire, but when he realized it, he decided to act peacefully towards the Incan Emperor Atahualpa. But he had other plans in mind, and on November 16, 1532, he brought the Incan Empire to its knees with the capture of Atahualpa. Atahualpa tried bargaining with Incan gold and treasures, but in 1532 he was executed by Pizarro and his men. During Pizarro's conquest, boats of Africans were shipped to Peru, and many fought alongside the Spanish. The slaves were maltreated, but their labor was a huge asset to the Spaniards' mission. Many were forced to work on farms or haciendas where they extensively worked the land. With the help of the African slaves, the Spaniards were able to colonize throughout the Incan Empire. The Afro-Peruvians were not unaware of their situation, and sporadic outbreaks of rebellion occurred against Spanish oppression, but they were quickly put out. Some slaves did become free by buying their freedom under Spanish law, through combat, or through other means. These freed slaves were called libertos, and many left to form their own communities. But the Spanish still had influence over them, and in 1779 the government tried to levy a special tax on libertos. But the northern coastal town of Lambayeque refused. Coincidentally, Túpac Amaru began a massive rebellion against the government's oppression at the same time. Túpac Amaru's original name was José Gabriel Condorcanqui, but he took the name of his great ancestor when he began his rebellion against the Spanish. He was heir to the Takitas, which meant he had chieftainship of Peruvian areas, which included Tungasuca, Pampamarca, and Surimana. He was also a successful teamster on the route which linked Cusco to Potosí. On the route, he became familiar with Spanish corregidores, or provincial governors, who practiced repartos, the distribution of merchandise. Much of the merchandise was expensive or unneeded, but the Incans were forced to buy it. Another problem were the mitas, or draft laborers, of the silver mines of Potosí. Both the Africans and the indigenous were forced to work in the horrible conditions of the mines. They worked long hours, and many became poisoned or died in cave-ins. Túpac Amaru spent 1777 and part of 1778 in Lima, trying to convince the Spanish government to stop the mitas. But he was rejected, and in mid-1778 he left Lima and spent the next 2 years conspiring and planning a plot to overthrow the Spanish government. The government began to collect higher taxes, and on November 4th, 1780, Túpac Amaru arrested Antonio de Arriaga, a corregidor of Tinta. Arriaga openly feuded with local clergy. Túpac Amaru transported him to Tungasuca and tried Arriaga for corruption and abuse of repartos, and hanged him on November 10, 1780. By this point, Black Peru and Indigenous Peru joined forces, and on November 16, Túpac Amaru decreed emancipation of slaves. 2 days later, on November 18th at Sangrara, rebels defeated a force sent from Cusco. In early December, Túpac Amaru captured Lampa and Azangaro. And on the 2nd to the 9th of January, 1781, he besieged Cusco with 40,000 to 60,000 troops. But he had to retreat, and he was defeated in Tinta. Túpac Amaru was betrayed and captured in Langui on April 6, 1781. On May 18, 1781, he witnessed the execution and torture of his wife and family. On that same day, he was executed as well. At first, the Spanish tried pulling him apart by tying rope to each of his limbs and having horses pull him in each direction. But he was too strong, or made of iron, as was rumored. The Spanish finally ended his misery by beheading him. Even after his death, the rebels continued to fight. Túpac Amaru's violent protests against Spanish colonialism won broad sympathy among Peruvians.